Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Between You and I podcast. This is episode 18, and we just keep trucking along, Ryan and I. And today we have Tekla Waterfield, also Tekla Waterfield Fielder. She is married to Jeff Fielder as well. She is a singer-songwriter from the Northwest. We have a fantastic conversation with her. She has beautiful music and is just a scrappy ideas gal. And her and I have talked a lot recently and just had these connective conversations that I really appreciated. So I really wanted to have her on the show, and I'm psyched to talk to her. I hope you guys all enjoy it. Subscribe if you feel inclined, and we'd love to hear any comments, and hope everyone is doing great during these crazy times. We love you big time. Hey, everybody. Well, welcome to the podcast. What number is this? It's not that.
18.
18.
Right? Yeah.
18's a good number. Today, I'm very excited because we have Tekla Waterfield with us. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the virtual world, our new reality. We were just joking about skits and things like that, about video meetings and all the things that can go wrong, or just how you get so used to it that you end up doing things you wouldn't usually do at a meeting because you're just like, well, this is the new reality.
I'm always extremely paranoid. I'm like, I'm just going to sneak off to go to the bathroom. I'm like, the camera's off, the audio's off. I still don't trust it, but
I know, right? Yeah.
I hosted an open mic on Zoom the other night, and it was the first time. And I was like, I want to not miss anything. I want to be like really listening actively for the whole time since I'm the host and I brought it together. So I wound up really having to, midway through go pee. I'm like, how do I do this? This is so awkward. I had to just tell everyone, potty break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, oh my God, I can't wait to talk about that. Well, speaking of which, I and others, not that you would know this, Tekla, really consider you like an idea person. Like you have done a lot of different things, but you're always coming up with new ideas, like, open mic online, and you've been really present online with live streaming shows, and just pivoting with lots of creativity, given the weird, situation we're in. But some like Heather Reynosa and I were talking, I'm like, she's always got a ton of ideas, which is really cool. But I wanted to start off just so people could get to know who you are. Do you want to give a background just on your story? Because I don't think you're not from Seattle, right?
No.
I mean, who is really? But
right. Well, the funny thing is that my family's all disconnected, and I didn't even know until I moved to Seattle in 2010 that my grandma had an apartment above the Comet Tavern when she was 15.
What?
I didn't even know that.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
When she was 15?
Yeah. And then her parents, so my great grandparents lived in the area. I need to really like I said, my family's disconnected. We don't talk as much. We kind of all went our separate ways, but I need to sit down with my grandma and be like, tell me the story. But what I've heard is my great grandpa was like a troubadour musician that played violin like in Seattle back then. Like my great grandpa.
Wow.
I'm like
Cool.
I'm not from here, but I feel like I claim it. My mom was born in Aberdeen, Washington, but
I don't know. I think you got claim rights.
I was born in Alaska, and then my family moved to California when I was like 11 or 12. So I kind of halfway grew up in Alaska, halfway California, and then migrated up to Washington in 2010 with a band that I was in, actually, for the music scene.
Right. It's a healthy music scene. I mean, it continues to be healthy. I mean, it has been for decades, right? Like, it's not just like the grunge era. There's consistent history.
Yep.
Decades and decades before that. That is so crazy. I love hearing stories about spaces, because I instantly want to know, what did it look like then, or what was it like to have, what was the apartment? Okay, well, I will digress.
One thing she remembered specifically that there was this tiny alleyway behind, and she remembered like there was this tiny little, those. I feel like what she said was she had one of those little tiny decks. That's not really a deck.
Sure.
Just like a little strip of something. And it was behind this alley. And that's one memory she has of her.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's totally crazy. Well, okay, we could just talk about that later. We
I
will
know.
put the
Gotta
book.
get your grandma on the show.
I
I
know,
know.
right? Yeah. I want a picture. I want pictures.
Oh man,
Yeah.
she was a character. She was called Grandma Gorgeous Darling. I don't know
Oh,
how that
What?
happened, but
wow.
yeah, she did theater, musical theater, very vivacious, loud, opinionated
I
woman.
love that.
Anyway, that's whole nother story.
But
Very cool.
that's your lineage. That's where you come from. It's no surprise then that you're, such a creative person. And I that's so amazing. What a great name. I first see a name of a record you'll do or something with that
Right?
name.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I love an idea person. Um, but so I will say, like, you and I got together. One of the, big reasons, one, I want to have you on the podcast anyway, but you and I have had some really great conversations. I feel like it started when, uh, for anybody listening, like a while ago, I gathered and wanted to gather with other female musicians, and there was like 9 of us, and Tekla was there, and I I wanted to do that because in music I spent so much time by myself, and didn't feel like I um, congregated with peers or asked for help or did anything. And so that night was kind of a grand experiment. Or I'm feeling like, well, Carrie, you can't get anything that you want if you don't ask, or,
Right.
or put yourself out there. Anyways, you were there, and then since then, you and I have had some just great conversations about the long road of being a creative, and specifically being a musician. Um, but I think when you choose the creative life, it's kind of a conversation that I don't feel like it's talked about a lot there. And or like, I feel like a good manual needs to be created or would be handy.
Mhm.
um, because I think there are phases, and just speaking to women, there are, now phases you're going to go through in life. And there's one thing to have your creative life, and then there's the other parts of your life you want to develop, like being married, or maybe you want to have kids. And then as you go down the road, like navigating all of that, or the choices you make, or what does that entail, or how do you keep being creative. And so I feel like we've had that's something I would love to talk about here,
Mhm.
because I thought we had some really impactful conversations. Like, this is a really good topic.
Yeah. I think it could be. There could be a lot more. We talked a little bit about this literature around the topic.
Yeah.
Just because, well, and especially like there's some I've read a little, but it quickly becomes outdated because things are changing so quickly in this time that we're living in, with the advent of technology and all the social media and stuff. How much stuff has just changed in the last 10 years, like.
Right.
But just yeah, I remember when I don't know, I was 27 or something, and I was like, how do I make this life work? Because I'm aware that I'm a creative person, but and when you're younger, you kind of are a little less like sure of what you are and who you are, and you're trying to figure it out. But I'm like, okay, I'm artistic and musical, how do I was very aware that like normal jobs didn't suit me ever,
Right.
like
Right.
routine and monotony and same time, same place. And there's people that thrive on that. They like to have a sense of like, I know what's going to happen at this time every day. You know what I mean? Like lots of people are like
Sure.
that. But when you're really creative, oh my God, it's like death. It's like
Yeah.
the fire, just the flame is gone. When it's like, for me, it's so anyway, I remember reading a few books in the library about like, well, here's what people do. You can like, have a job you don't really care about. So that way you can spend your energy and time on your art. Or, you can work in the field of your art, doing something like if you're a musician, work at a music venue. And then you're still sort of, it was just a kind of generic,
Yeah.
but yeah, I feel like.
Do you remember what the titles were? Like, what were those books?
Oh my gosh.
If you don't know now, we can get them later, and we will post links to them.
Yeah, I'll have to see if I can backtrack, because this was
Okay.
like 10 years ago, and it was at a public library, and I was just sitting on the floor like leafing through. But yeah, I feel you. I feel like there should be more information out there about.
Well, specifically too, around when you hit the wall or a wall, right? Where you've done all the things, you've gotten in there, you've, gone through the list of what right? Like we've made records, we've played live shows, we've, done all the kinds of shows, come up with creative ideas. And I feel like there's a natural, not a wall like a stopper, but it's, I think a point of burnout is natural. I think a point, what feels like a wall is what I would like to put out there, what I feel like I've learned is just a pause. Instead of saying a wall and like, oh my God, I'm burnt out and I'm depressed. Now what? Because it feels really insurmountable. To have a moment where it's like, okay, this is just a pause moment. And what you do is you turn and look back and be like, okay, these are the things I like. Because it's really just a learning moment, like a temperature take of like, nothing's wrong. I feel like you're right on time when that happens, to say really what you got to do here is just look back and go, okay, I liked this, I liked that, I don't like that, I'm not doing that again, and kind of clean up the cupboard and say, I'll keep these things and keep doing these things, and now I can make space for what might I do next. And I also found it really helpful to look at things in incremental time chunks, not like forever. Like, okay, for the next year, what, because then it's handleable on the marathon that is, a forever creative life, because there are ups and downs. And so anyways, as we were talking about, I was like, what is that moment really? And does it have to be so dire? And I really didn't think it was. I was like, oh, it's just a growing moment. But I feel like I had that moment and literally just sat down. I was so burnt out. And a lot of things had happened that no one was there to kind of go, yes, that is, like outgrowing people, or burn out because I took everything on and didn't ask for help. I didn't delegate, or didn't recognize, oh, this is just a moment where you take pause and then you get back into it. Or, hey, look for a friend, get some support. Like I didn't seem to, I don't think I had ever done that in the past. And so what I did do was just kind of sit down. And that's something I regret. I mean, which is pointless to do, but it's helpful to think about it now and go, oh, okay. Like I could have done something different.
Yeah.
So anyways.
Yeah, I think it's so the path for all creative people, let alone everyone, is so different just within the creative field.
Yeah.
Like, you could be a classical musician and you're playing, in a symphony, or you could be, your heart is with helping other people to learn and you're a teacher, or you're really motivated by performing, or you're really motivated by writing. It's like, or, there's just so many paths, and within each path, like all these divergent paths, so it's really hard to like, I think it's just, I've had to learn, in my time as a working artist and musician, that the more that I've been able to, like you keep mentioning, like open up and talk to other folks who are like me, even if they're not exactly, obviously they like me, but they're similar in some ways. It's like, it's always like, I find a lot of little help and guidance. It's like no one ever really knows the answer, but there's
right.
But when you have, like, when you brought us together and we all talked, I think we all felt like, we're like, we're not alone.
Right.
Heroes like us.
Just that alone is amazing. Just to be like, oh, someone else is going through the same thing you are. You're not crazy. Right. And then you can hear other ideas, or call that person. And not being alone on something, I think is, huge. It's not like everyone's really independent, and you're right, everyone is different. It's not like you're like, I need to have you there every day, but to have a list of people you're like, somebody I could call when I do, because, creative work can be, it's your creative work, right? It can be a very private thing. While you sit and get your ideas and do your work and create your art, and that's not something somebody else could do for you. But it's nice to turn around to reflect with someone. I find that really a huge relief to go like, am I nuts or does this suck?
Yeah. And then also there's a difference with your creative friends and your friends who aren't as creative. I mean, I feel like a lot of my best friends aren't as creative, and they're just like rooting for me. They're like, yeah, you're great. And then I have a couple of friends that are in the creative world, and they get it in a different way. They're the ones that I'm like, I need to talk to you because you know what this is like. This is just a different way of setting up your life, So
yeah,
that's critical huge feedback for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's like, I'm so glad you brought that up, because that is the big thing. Like when you are and it's not just creatives, but like when you do something, you want to talk to someone who knows what you're talking about or has been there, because that's like the unexplained thing that you don't want to explain to someone who's never been there. Mm-hmm. Like, an experience might make you feel like and why, or how all of it plays into something. And yeah, when you and I were talking, I remember when I think I was having a hard time, my mom had said, why don't you call someone? And I was like, who? Like for whatever reason, I couldn't figure out. I was like, who would I call? Yeah. Like, who's going to really know what I've been through?
Yeah. Totally.
That I felt like would be respectful or mature, because I wanted that. Like, I like grownups. I want someone who's going to be smart and say, yeah, I get what you're saying. This is that. And here's what you might do. Like, I crave a mentor, mentors all the time. Like, I love a smart, savvy, kind person.
Yeah. Kind is helpful. Like,
yeah, kind of, yeah.
Talk about it.
Yeah, right. Well, there's nothing worse than like meeting somebody that you really admire and they're uncomfortable, they're not nice, or there will be no union of sharing, or I don't know, whatever it is. It's always a bummer. It bums my little heart out.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. I don't want to get into personal things and stuff, but I did reach out to someone who I thought we could have a sort of, like we're in this business, this music industry together. Let's talk and be friends. And was basically told that they thought I was just trying to use them. And I was like, oh,
that sucks.
I'm still not like that. I'm all about, let's come together and let's,
yeah. Oh, that's a bummer. Yeah. Well, that's a bummer for that person too, because I'm like, obviously they've been hurt.
Right.
And they're shut off, and they will miss out on good people. I mean, there are good people. And I also think if you're confident, you're like, what is someone really going to take from you? Mm-hmm. That's also living in scarcity, and I don't believe in that.
Exactly. I'm saying too. Yep.
I don't.
There's enough for everyone.
Oh, always, for everybody, every single person. There is no like, if you take this chunk of the island, there's no more of the island left for me. I get into spaces where I'm like, who gives a shit about the island anymore? Like, God, I'm so over the island. I'd like to move to the European continent, please.
Oh my God.
I shall move on.
Yeah.
One of the things I noticed is the bunch of the things that you've done, which I thought were really innovative, like getting grants and, having your work in, you had your work in a movie. And so talk to me a little bit about like your ideas that you get, right? Like, you really open up to what are all the ways I could support myself. Like grants, I thought was amazing. I was like, oh, I've never done that. Mm-hmm. And I just thought, so I just really loved that. Can you talk about that, or your ideas?
Sure.
Or?
Well, I think part of it is that I was raised scrappy and poor. So
right on. Yeah.
From a young age, I was like applying for financial aid and stuff to get into college. And like, once you've been exposed to that world, you realize that there's actually a whole lot of opportunities out there that are always happening. And it's really frustrating, actually, is just figuring them out, because they're there. It's just like, you have to know where to find them. So that part's frustrating. But there were a couple of different opportunities that actually honestly were shared on Facebook. And I just immediately followed up and applied for them when I saw them get posted. So that was early on when the pandemic was hitting and people were sharing these resources, Right. So it's
That's
like,
great.
I would just keep an eye out for that. So that right there is a matter of having quote unquote friends, Facebook friends who are in the industry or who are in the know. So these are people who work for arts organizations that I know, that share stuff like that. So, it just, again, back to that same idea of like knowing other people that are in the field, because that's where you kind of get the most help and resources. So anyway, the grants, Jeff and I applied for like every single one that we could find, and we got a couple, each of us. So, and actually I was just telling him we need to look for more, like see if there's more, cause there's ongoing project grants and stuff that, like For Culture does every year and stuff. I always feel like I'm just this little dog that's not going to get chosen for those things. Cause sometimes they are a little like intense, like the processes that when you apply and, it's like, really intense. They want you to really map out your project or,
Right.
But the only way to get it is to apply. I mean, it's like,
exactly.
I've known plenty of artists who are like, I'll never get this. And then they applied and it turns out they were the only one to apply for it.
Yeah.
So it's like, you get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just don't know. And the fact that you just got to do it, right? But I feel that way, that overwhelm of like, when it gets really complicated, or if they want samples and they want all sorts of stuff, I feel that way when they're on crazy job interviews that are like, here is something, now go solve that. I get really overwhelmed. I think that's a kid thing, like way back from being a kid. My husband's actually really good. I had, when that does happen to me, he's really good at going one step at a time. Like he'll say, you do too know how to do that. It's a really primal child thing for me. So I remember as a kid, like math, I think used to really overwhelm me and I would just shut down. And so it's funny how some things never leave you.
Totally.
There was some job I was applying to and what they were asking of me, I had never done. And I got really overwhelmed and was starting to kind of go, nope, not going to try. And he was like, you do too know how to do this, just like one step at a time. And I was like, God, I am 8 years old again. Like, how did that happen? Like,
well, sounds like you have a good partner too. That really helps a lot for sure.
For sure. Right. Well, and you're married to an amazing musician and together you guys make great music. So you're married to Jeff Fielder, a guitarist extraordinaire. I hope you don't mind if I gush about Jeff for a second.
Come on. Of course not.
Right. Well, I will say like Jeff Fielder is someone I saw, and it's rare. Not that, I mean, there's great musicians out there, but he is somebody I went and saw one time and I was like, oh shit. Like that guy is above levels of, like he just is, he's also just like soul based. I feel like that is who he is. But I was like, oh, he's on a level of good that is beyond a lot of folks. And I was like, holy shit.
Pretty good.
Yeah, he is. But you've also worked with him on a lot of stuff. Did he produce your last record?
He did. Yeah.
How was that working together? It's a beautiful record. Both of your records are really beautiful.
Well, the first record was more of a live band kind of situation. So, and then, I gradually kind of that band sort of like fell apart. It wasn't really a band. It was just, it's like, let me put a group of people together to play with. And then I met Jeff and he was like, I have some ideas for your music. And then it just kind of happened gradually and naturally, over the course of our, we started living together and, got married and it was kind of like I was interested in the idea of experimenting and working with a producer right at the same time as he was interested in learning how to be a producer. So he kind of, like I was like, sure, I'll be your guinea pig. Like just, and it was funny because he's a night owl and I actually am more of a morning person, not early morning, but
yeah, no, I hear you.
I get going in the morning and he gets going in the night. So I would go to bed and I would wake up and he'd be like, listen to this. And he'd press play and I'd be like, holy shit, what the hell did you do? Were you up till 5? Like, cause he'll just like produce the whole thing all night, just stay up all night. Just like,
awesome.
So honestly, it was totally like for both of us, it was sort of an experimental thing where I kind of really just let him take most of the reins unless there was a strong idea I had or opinion, but so it was very cool. Yeah, it was
That's amazing. Like what a great pair. Like I would love to wake up in the morning and be like, here, I created this whole landscape for you. What? Thank you. Now I will
Yeah.
boss you around a lot and tell you what I like and don't.
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, we both have fairly strong personalities, so we've learned, we've already made my third album and we're working on my fourth album right now.
Oh my gosh.
But we've learned that we have ways of, he's the kind of guy that, and I think a lot of people are who are creative. He needs to have some input and to have some room to express and find ideas. And I have to realize that I need to back off and let him have some sort of time with it, because he's proven, that what he comes up with is working. You know what I mean? So
yes. No.
Yeah.
I love that you trust him enough because magic can happen in there where you trust someone to be like, okay, yeah, go have your complete thought.
Yeah.
I'll come back. I mean, you always have the right to say, I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not like something's going to get made where you're like, well, I hated that, but it was Jeff's complete thought. You know what I mean? Like, so it allows, I think, for magic when you can sort of go, all right, yeah, go do, go do your thing. Mm-hmm. I have always said, I mean, every solo record I've done, it's a whole new band every time. And I always say, one, because I like the grand experiment and I like the magic, and I trust that who I know who I'm inviting are good at what they do.
Right.
And I like the sort of compulsive, let's just see what happens here.
Really.
With the caveat that I'm like, if I don't like it, I'll tell you, which is rarely the case. And I feel really lucky that way, just to be surprised.
Yeah, definitely. There was one song in particular that I was so surprised, because in my head it was a kind of just a rock song. Like, it was going to be a rock song. It's called Rock and Roll Man. And that was one where I got up in the morning and he played it, and it was just this disco like dance tune.
Ooh.
And I was like, what? Like, I just was so surprised, but it was so cool. And that was actually the song that wound up getting placed in the movie that just last year.
Oh, wow.
So yeah.
Wow.
Random.
Good for you guys. That is so cool. See, magic was had. Was it Magic Abounds? There's got to be some sort of like woo bumper sticker that is made out there. Someone will tell me.
Which film was that? Was that?
It's a indie film called Dakota, and actually it was on it was on some. I still haven't watched it. I'm silly, but it was on a streaming platform recently, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to watch that. But it's the film is about a singer-songwriter who's a real singer-songwriter, and she signed to Columbia Records. And I think it's very fictional, but all the artists that were in the soundtrack were all like indie, I think, mostly. And I was playing at SeaTac Airport. This is how both times my songs have been in films happened.
Oh, wow.
Playing at the airport, and some guy came up and 2 different times and said, hey, I place music in films. Do you want to? And I'm like,
that's amazing.
Wow. Yeah, that's
random.
Cool.
Yeah. And I played there for 5 years, and that happened twice. So it's not like that happens very often or anything,
but still, that's more magic. I like magic.
Me too.
More magic, please.
More magic, please.
Yes. We got to have a daily mantra. More magic, please.
Yes. I love it.
And oh my God. Yeah. I mean, we've talked about playing shows together, but I also again, as I talk about, as I sort of put myself out there, like doing this podcast and getting back into it, because I definitely, especially in COVID, like took a hiatus, was like, I need to go commune with myself and reacquaint myself with me. I need to have a little talk with myself. I'm getting more excited. It's good practice for me to contact people and talk and all that. But it also, then I can see the possibilities and like collaborating and because it's the communing that I love. It's those, those magical moments where you do stuff with a group and you're like, this is why.
Yeah, totally.
One of the reasons I do this, like, this is so cool. The pleasure of getting to work with other people. And I mean, just in the doing. So I hope we get to do stuff together. I hope we do something
I'd be honored.
wacky. Yeah. I mean, right. It's got, and then I also learn things from you, and other people, like things that I hadn't done before, like online streaming. I've yet to do that. Like I have ideas, but, and so I'm always grateful for,
yeah, totally.
education or what have you.
Mhm.
But so you guys have already recorded 2 more records,
Mhm.
and you're doing that at your house?
So we're working on the 4th one. We're not done with it by any means. The 3rd one, actually, we recorded most of it as a live band at Jack Straw Cultural Center, and that was through an artist recording grant. I got it was basically like half off, right? So they award like full grants and then like half grants. So I got but hey, it was awesome. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still cool.
yeah, so we went in there and did most of it like that, but then we do have a pretty decent amount of setup at our home now. We just moved almost 2 years ago now into a bigger house with a basement on the south end of Seattle where we could actually kind of have the space for that. And Jeff's been gradually, bit by bit, collecting more and more gear to kind of deck out our own studio, just little by little. He's definitely one of those guys that can just get lost on technical stuff and gear.
Hallelujah.
I'm like,
ditto.
Not a problem I have, so that's good.
No, not you, Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, not at all. As he's sending me links about like, let's use this technology. Let's use that. I'm like, whatever. I'm like,
cool, great. Yeah.
Sounds great. Like, all right.
It's nice to have. Yeah.
Oh, that's great to have. No, I love that. Like I too, I'm not ashamed. Like I'm not a technical person. Like I'm a intuitive creator, right? Like, so my last 2 records I did with Steve Fisk, who one has a ginormous history. So just as he sits down to talk about anything, it's, 2 hours go by and you're like, what? But he will also get technical, but him and I have done so much work together that now I feel like we're close enough friends where he'll start talking gear and I'll just cut him off and be like, my eyes have glossed over. Like, I don't even know what you're talking about, nor do I care. Not to be mean, but I was like, to be honest, I don't care.
I know. It's funny. It's like, but when you see people like that together, it's interesting to see their brains go. It's just like, whoa, you guys could just nerd out for like an hour right now. I can tell.
Well, don't you like envy it? Like I envy it. Like, I guess I want to be like that. I've yet to see myself really fun.
I think it's
naturally.
Just the older that I've gotten, the less I feel obligated. If I feel like that's a good thing, right? As you get older and you realize who you are, you're like, I'm just not that way. Thank God there's someone out there that's like that.
Yes.
I mean, you've got your own things to nerd out about, right?
Yeah.
That's right. Like the art and the craft. So.
Right. Yeah. Like I'm the one that gets up and just sits down and writes a song. Like that's what I do. That's
right.
That's
exactly.
It's
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, yay to facilitators, right? Like I love Ryan one because he's my perfect foil. And I constantly after every podcast going, oh my God, did I even give you a chance to talk? But he's a calming presence. But at the same time, I know he knows all the tech stuff. And I love that. I know I needed that too. So he's like my perfect combination for me. Ryan.
I do my best. Yeah.
We need each other, yin yang, puzzle pieces, and all that good stuff. Yeah, that's again with coming together with other people. That's key
for sure. Well, and so you bring up songwriting too, like just the art of songwriting, but also there's the personal relationship you can have, the personal thing that songwriting can be, and your music's really personal. I was listening to your first record too. You talked about the musicians are on that. Like that record's amazing because I was like, that's a flute. Like, I was like listening to songs going, is that a flute on Let It Go? I was like, what? Like, or strings and piano and the sound of the piano. And there's Rhodes on there, right? Maybe on that one. That might've been on your second record. But anyways, I like to listen to instrumentation and that's like, I really liked that. That was unusual. Like you didn't hear some of those things. It was really cool experimentation, and I feel like it lends to the personal writing that you're doing. Do you think that's true? Is that like your intent?
I think that's so I can't claim credit for the flute idea. That was not my idea. I totally had a totally different vision for that song, which I wouldn't be opposed to eventually trying a whole new version of it. See, in my understanding, every song could have such a completely different result depending on which way you go with it. And I actually struggle with having a really strong sense of which way the song should go, because I see all the different ways, so
Yeah.
it could go this way, that way, or this way. So like the flute, I was like, really? So I worked with this guy, Colin Nelson. He like recorded everything. He has a studio in Fremont, and he was like, flute, like kind of like 70s, like,
Yeah.
what's his name? Van Morrison, and I'm like,
Yes.
okay, and then it wound up being really cool. And yeah, I guess it's just, again, just kind of having the people that you're working with and trusting their ideas. And like Jeff will just suggest stuff randomly, and I'm like, saxophone. I'm like, and then I hear it and I'm like, that's really cool. Thanks. That was a great idea.
Right.
So yeah, I guess I just have an open mind to try stuff. I think that's.
You're so right though about like a song could go like so many different directions, and it's nice to just pick one, like, okay, we're going to go roll with it. Because if you didn't, you'd never finish anything, I think.
Right. Yeah.
And, I know folks who are extremely talented, but just never nail it. Like, be done. Now you just put something out, because you're never going to hit perfection. One, because they're so crazy talented and creative. I'm like, you just will keep coming up with new ideas. And that's not, but you're never putting anything out. And so, I think it's, again, like it can be fun to just go, well, I don't know, let's just see what happens here. I had like on Last the Evening, I have a song called Stupid Is, and same thing. It was much faster, double time, and I thought it was going to be a rock song. And Mark Pickerel, who played drums on that record, was like, oh no. And he's the one who slowed it, put it at its slow tempo, which has a much more like soulful groove to it. And I was like, oh, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
And I did when on the first, just because I'm giving examples that I felt like I didn't expect. The first solo record I did, Tucker Martine produced it, but like a ton of people that I don't even think I appreciated at the time played on that record. Like Reggie Watts is on that record. And like, I had the song Humdrum, again, was like in double time, because I tend to write like in waltz or fast waltz, or and it was like da, 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 on piano, and he cut it in half. Like he's the one who made it. And I came in, like I would literally like leave and then come back, and it was this other song, and I was like, what the hell? Like, but love it. I'm super grateful.
Yeah, it's really cool. I think if you, there's so many ways, and if you are closed off and you don't allow other ideas to come in, you're cutting yourself short, because there's potential for this genius thing to happen when you meld minds together. And working with Jeff has been really, really crazy for me, because I feel like he's upped my game, because, there's a lot of songs that I've written that he didn't alter, other than producing, but then there's plenty where he's like, helps me come up with this little tiny instrumental bridge thing or something that just like really takes the song, you know what I mean? Takes it, or like the beginning or the ending, like just polishes it in a way that I'm like, oh my gosh, I wouldn't have come up with that on my own, so it's,
there's a huge, collaboration is amazing, especially when people they come to the table, like ready to be equal and open at the same time. Right. With, and as the owner of the music, I think the only responsibility is to say, like, if I don't like it, I will have my reasons, like, and, I'm not, it's like, I'm not crazy, or I'm not an idiot, like I will have my reasons, and it's my stuff. So
listen to me.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, not that should even have to be said, but at the same time, I think great, like, collaborators can come together, have ideas, respect when someone says, like, that's just not the vision I had, because that's so internal. And again, that's just delicious and juicy to be with talented people, doing that dance, and it's respectfully done, right? Not, you don't get stepped on, and there's so many lessons inside of that too, as an artist, to learn how to, like, when you it's, all your decision, but like, when do you open up? When do you say no? Learning how to do that, how to say no, or owning and taking responsibility for your work.
Yeah, early on, Jeff was like, "You are quick to say no. Do you realize that?" Like all the time,
Oh
and I
yeah.
was, oh,
Mhm.
and it kind of I had to learn, like to not just go no, to like give it a chance
Mhm.
and try it, and not be like, "This is my song, the way I wrote it," So
Right.
And that's a hard
Well,
skill
why?
to learn. It's like even as a
Yeah.
visual artist,
Mhm.
collaborating with other artists, I enjoy it a lot, but a lot of other artists don't. They really have their vision and they want to stick
Yeah,
to it. And you're just like, oh, it could be cool if you tried this. And then they do. And they're like,
yeah,
all right, yeah, that does work. But
yeah.
it
Thank
takes
you.
convincing, Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting to know like what initially was behind your no, like what were the thoughts, whatever they were at the time.
Hmm.
Were you sort of like, did you have any thoughts of like, no, it's my job. I'm supposed to do everything, or I'm supposed
Yeah,
to create
definitely.
everything.
I think it was like, well, so I was in a band for 4 years, and then the band that I moved to Seattle with, and I had it was a very bad experience in some ways, and also awesome in other ways. But there were a lot of cooks in the kitchen in that band, and so we had
Mhm.
constant conflict, um, and and also it started off as a very masculine band, and I was a backing singer with this other girl, and we did oohs and ahs, and then gradually over time, like we started all contributing songs, and then it shifted to more of a male female thing, and then there were people in the band that didn't want that shift. They wanted it to go back to like this masculine, like rough around
Mhm.
the edges kind of thing, and so it felt like my voice was getting like kind of turned off in a way. So all that said, like that right after that is when I really started doing my own project, and I think I got kind of like I was like, no more collaboration for me.
Sure.
After that, I was like, I'm gonna do my own, and then also, yeah,
Yeah.
you like attached to something that you create. You're like, any little minor change, you're like, that's not the way I wrote it, like that's not how it's supposed to be. But yeah, I've definitely changed a lot
But
since
that's
then.
fair. I mean, coming out of an experience like that where you're like as a fledgling wanting to step out on your own
Hmm.
in reaction to like the complete lack of control or what was being put on you like that, I totally understand that.
Hmm.
You're sort of like, well, I'm not letting that happen again, but that's just a growth thing, right? It's like the pendulum
Right,
swings. You're
right.
like, well, that was awful, well, I'm going to totally do the opposite thing as
Yeah,
that. And
exactly.
then, oh, but new stuff comes in, and which is good stuff, and oh, maybe I can let go a little bit for the reasons you already know. Like it's not
Yeah,
a
yeah.
thoughtless process. I think for lots of people who find themselves in bands who have like an inkling that they want to go do their own work, that's a big step to
Hmm.
to decide. That takes a lot of courage. um, I think, and fortitude to say, one, to notice and then say, this isn't working for me
Hmm.
and I know why, and so I'm gonna leave or step out. Like, kudos
Hmm.
to you. I think that takes a lot of courage.
Well, thank you. It was a lot of drama. I'll just
I
leave it
totally
at that.
know.
So it wasn't that simple, but it
Yeah.
worked out. I am where I am
Yeah.
now.
Well,
And
this
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, no, no. I was just saying this is one of those moments where we know what we each other. I know what you're talking about, right? Like it's an unsaid, like, mm-hmm.
We lived
Yep.
together, dated within the
Yeah.
band. Just all the drama. Yeah.
All that stuff. I almost feel like I would know how you felt. Like, yep. Yeah. Isn't that like worth its weight in gold for a friend and a peer, a music peer and friend to be like, you don't even have to tell me, sister. I know.
Yep. 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 I'm making eyes with you. I'm two fingers on my eyes and looking
There
at
we go. Oh, yeah. I
you know
got
what
you.
I'm
I
saying.
do. I totally do. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's funny. Um, it's kind of yummy though. The whole like road is yummy because you're growing, and that is exciting, and that's being an artist, and that's great, right?
Mhm.
Like I've sort of come to think like it's all good. All of it has been good. I finally, I swear, a couple months ago, had I don't on a really deeper, like complete level, was like, no, I'm good with my history. Like I don't
Mhm.
sit in um I've done a good job. I don't know. I changed a
Yeah.
corner. I just was, instead of regretting things or, oh, you
Mhm.
should have done things different, or why aren't you bigger, or, all of that. I just don't have those feelings anymore. I feel like when I'm aware of a lot of what all the other roads look like and what
Mhm.
they really entail.
Mhm.
Um, and I just, more than that, I guess I look back and this is what I'm sort of saying, like your history too, like looking and going, no, I've done a good job. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, by and large, I've done a good job. I've gotten to do really cool things. I'm happy about me. Like I'm good. And I look forward to doing more things. Like, do you feel that way on the road? Do you feel, post since I last talked to you too, like a little more solidified and I guess my my complicated word yummy about about being an artist,
I think that it goes up and down and back and forth pretty regularly for me. It's always been that way where one minute I'm like feeling really good and confident and proud and accomplished. And the next minute I'm like, is this what I'm doing with my life? So I don't, is that just an inherent part of being an artist or creative person? Because I've read that actually in lots of places. That's
sure. But I think those things come up because our culture tells us there's a different storyline of what success looks like. And it's pretty materialistic. And it's, especially in a tech city,
yeah.
all the, there's a lot of Patagonia and Volvos driving around and houses that are above like 700,000.
What do you have against Volvos?
No, call me a hypocrite. I would love an XC40, whatever any day.
Very. I want to tell you really quick on that note. I went, when I had my music in a film, the first guy that saw me play at SeaTac, he wanted me to come be in the movie for like a cameo where I was like the crush of this guy that was one of the main characters. And he had a dream that we ran to each other on the beach and like fell down and kissed. And he had posters of me on his wall. It was just weird. But so I got to go down and be in it, but I drove around with the director of the film. And he was about the same age as me. So I'm 38. And he was looking at me like, what are you doing? Who are you? He literally was like, yeah, you're not successful unless you at this age have become big. I mean, it was very, very clear that he was looking at me like, what are you doing? You're how old and you're still chasing your musical dreams? You should have kids by now. And like all this stuff.
Whatever. Yeah.
I can't remember the specifics of how he said it, but it was like this sort of passive aggressive thing. And he showed me around Hollywood and he was like, money, success. And I'm just like, wow, I felt really shitty. It was this very indie film, low budget thing. And, but it was very apparent that was the vibe there or for him.
That is soul crushing though. Like, that's LA moment. Yikes. Yeah.
Like, no,
yeah. Which are fully soul killing. And because I don't think like I'm 53, right? Like I had the moment where I was like, I'm a loser. I'm not, huge musically. And now I don't own anything. I'm not like married. I don't have a kid, like I really said that to myself or believed it. And consequently, went to corporate jobs, which did not serve me emotionally. Like they were scarring. And I just think about, what is quality of life? What does a really good life look like? And the value of art, especially like music, you know what I mean? Like it is a game changer. It's healing, it's storytelling. And I value all those things. And I think our American culture definitely says out loud, these are the things you should have in order to hit the milestone and then feel like it's success. And that can mess you up.
Yeah. Well, we're so, what do you call it? Capitalistic, it's all like, if you can prove that you're worthwhile by making this amount of money and owning all this property and yada, 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 versus like I was looking at other countries that support their arts and like the percentage of what the US looks like versus some of these other countries was just ridiculous. Like how low arts funding is in the US compared to other, like there's other countries where you can apply, which I would apply my ass off for these opportunities.
Right.
Like, and you could get completely funded to go tour the US or whatever. Like it's governmentally funded, like music and, like the Weekender, he's an artist from Canada who had funding from the government to make his album and go tour. And Courtney Barnett I think she's from Australia, or New Zealand, she had funding, government funding to tour the US. And like, that's just like normal in some other countries, but in the US, it's like, we have the great venues and you can come tour here. And like, we have the mobility, like potentially not now, obviously, but
yeah, right.
that we have like the market, but we just don't have the support, the funding. So yeah, you just feel like you got to give up.
Yeah, the American way is to struggle more usually.
Yeah.
I remember touring probably in the 90s, and it was such a vast difference between what your experience was like in the States to Europe. Like in Europe, you're right, it was funded. Like you had a tour manager, you had rentals, you were fed food at sound check and got a dinner and were put up to stay. And the and the staff at the venue were nice because they were getting paid.
Yeah.
Where you go to the States and you're it's just terrible. Like
People are
the sound guy's usually awful to you, and he's super not usually she, but like he's bitter, like it's such a stereotype, or you weren't food, somewhere to stay. It was just so vastly different.
Yeah. There's not money and emphasis put into it. Yeah. It's
well,
sad.
It's totally sad. And it's, touring is harder work than most people think. And so add just no support at all. And, that takes its toll on people. I think people sometimes think touring is romantic, and a lot of it really, I believe, isn't. It's work,
in a bus or van with your colleagues for like weeks on end isn't romantic.
Well, one, if you have a bus, you're an echelon above. If you're in a van, you're kind of also up there, you know what I mean? Like,
all right, in your station wagon, let's be more realistic.
Seriously, I'm not even kidding. Or sleeping on people's floors, or all sorts of stuff. If you get that at all, not having your gear ripped off,
Right.
So I just love conversations around like what is really of value in life. You know what I mean? Like if you have, I also think some solutions to not getting waylaid by that ideology is just to really not tighten the circle, but like be conscious about who you hang out with and create your circle and expand that circle. But like if you're around similar minded people, then you're not at the whim of, how other folks are living, right? Like if I step out of tech and I build my own little world, then that's my world. I probably will never even hear somebody talk about or it'll become foreign that somebody finds that important. I'm like, really? Like, and you're miserable. Like it'll, it won't become so powerful, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I think the world needs music. It will always need music and storytelling. I think you and I were talking about putting together a show. Yeah, I think you and I were talking about that was really curating a show that emphasized storytelling and the artists themselves as storytellers, as for a comforting evening, utilizing music. I mean, which just happens every time somebody plays, but I somehow wanted to bring that back, or bring it around. I guess it's here, but I guess I compare it to like the 60s or whatever, with like Dylan or Joni Mitchell or other people, where it just seemed at that time, the art of songwriting and lyrics spoke to like what was going on in the world and politics and all, and people were plugged in and partnering with music and politics and everything together. And it's a vastly different time, I realize.
Well, maybe things will shift that way. I mean, with everything that's happened with, so much has shifted gears because of the pandemic, and then with the Black Lives Matter protests and like the awareness and the awakening of like, I think people are in a totally different mindset now, most people, than we were like 6 months ago, alone
for sure,
5 years ago. Yeah. So maybe that'll become aware and that'll transcend. But again, it's the almighty dollar in the US. So on a bigger scale, I think, I don't know that that'll be emphasized. Like at the Grammys, was it Alicia Keys did a song and where she sat and played piano, and it was very songwriting. And it was like, I forget which one it was. Was it, I don't normally watch those big shows, but it was like a story. And I was like so shocked that they actually let that happen on a big scale like that, where it was like someone was telling a story, and it was like not a hit song, just a hit song that will sell and sounds like every other, kind of crappy hit song that's like massive. But I think on a smaller scale, like there's definitely and that's what I'm really motivated or was before all this happened to help facilitate and bring together is like within the Seattle scene, at least, like
Yeah.
bringing those kinds of shows together, bringing those people together, and like, helping that happen. Because I think it's definitely important, and I think it's somewhat has been happening in Seattle, at least that kind of gig. Like I think when we talked on the phone, I told you about my friend Darren from March to May, who started a production called Drift Productions, where they put on shows at a quote unquote unique location.
Oh yeah.
And with with art that will be it will create a memorable experience. And they sell it on I think they sell it on Airbnb or Groupon or something.
Ooh.
And you just buy a ticket and you don't know. I think you don't know right away where you're going or who it's going to be. It's DRYFT Productions. But I've played a couple of those shows at the Virginia 5 Steamship was one, and then at the I forget the name of the mansion, but it's this historic old house that's like a mini mansion, and it's in Capitol Hill, Stimson Green or something like that. But so
cool.
You're playing for this audience that is there to sit down and listen to you attentively, which is like, what?
Right.
That's pretty cool. There's like that service So Far or whatever, I think, where people are doing similar.
So far does that kind of idea house concert thing, and I think that also took like a turn, like things were turning that way before all this pandemic stuff, I think, where people are like looking for those authentic, intimate experiences where you're really connecting. And yeah, it's different. It just depends on what you're doing. Like if you're a loud rockin' band and you want to just like make people dance and rock, then maybe that's not for you, but.
Right.
I love that. That's really cool. I think that's what I miss most is being able to gather for intimate shows or collaborating.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to figure out the guitar player for my last record, Rafe Wadley. He's got like a little studio, and I'm like, okay, can I come over? I have a mask. Can we, like, because it's a lot to actually be together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally.
And that's a really fun part. So I think that's something I'm really missing. I love those ideas, though. I'm gonna go look that stuff up. What was I thinking? One of the things. And I imagine this is happening. This is probably just my isolated ignorance, but I was like, the more we talk about ourselves as a thing, right? I feel like maybe the more real it comes. Like I try to talk more out loud about that songwriting as a healing tool, right? Like I write as a healer. I feel like my music has been healing for people. I haven't in the past like labeled myself a healer, but I do think that. And so I'm trying to talk out loud about myself or my work or whatever I'm doing and why in clear and doing it more often, right? So that it becomes a thing. To make something, I guess, with groups of people. And I was like, and as you start doing stuff together, a thing is something becomes real as opposed to just being isolated. I mean, because there's so many talented people in this town doing really cool things. And, individuals do their stuff, but there's something about coming together and great ideas that I get really excited about. I think that the possibilities are exciting to me for like a mature, fun, creative, experimental. It's like, this is part of being an artist that I want. Like I want to make cool shit with really cool people.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
It's the pleasure part that nobody can take away from you. That's what I like about it. Just talking about labels and things like that. There's so much precariousness in that business where you're not in control and you're at the whim of oftentimes not brightness. You know what I mean? Like it's which makes it even more terrible. And so the places that you can invest or should I say have control becomes so much more valuable. Or I see them like these are the things I can have that no one could take away. I thought that recently, like with the last record I did too, it was like I had a bad moment where a situation where I felt like I was just being talked about in the past And it just triggered a bunch of stuff. I mean, it just triggered like, oh, I feel like I'm old, nobody cares, or, all the things that I think are kind of classic. And I kind of imploded on a day like you do. And this, I'm not looking for sympathy, but I just was like, this is, this is what happens sometimes. You have a day where you just like, oh my God. And I stopped myself for once and I was like, okay, stop. Like one, I was like, okay, are we going to implode? Are we going to like sit down again? Cause that's a big stickler with myself. Are we sitting down? I'm like, well, no. Okay. Then what can you control? And it was really healthy for me because I was like, I can write songs, I can record, I can play live, I can collaborate forever. And nothing can get in the way of that. Like nothing can mess that up. And that made me feel better.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we all have our struggles like that. Like for me, I've had struggles where I'm like, I get frustrated where I'm like, oh, I can write these songs for days. I've written so many songs. And then what? That's where I get get caught up sometimes where I'm like, like, where is this? Is this, does anyone care? Blah, blah, blah. Is it reaching enough people? Like, you get those, I think we get those hangups sometimes, but then it always comes back around to, well, this is what I make and I'm going to make it no matter what, so might as well just be okay with that.
I mean, do you make it for yourself or do you make it for others?
Yeah. I mean, it's both. I mean, I think, anyone who makes things has an instinct and a drive and a desire to make stuff. It's in us. We're makers. Like I'm just okay with that, but then it's like, but if you just sat in a room and played music by yourself and no one ever heard you, that's not for me either.
Right.
Yeah. The exchange is the exchange is also what you want too, the sharing out and then the reaction to the communing.
Yeah.
The communing is a big part of it. Like, and I actually think that, out loud saying like, I am an artist. I am an artist. This is what I do helps like ground it a little bit. Like,
and then also I think when you get some amount of recognition back from people that you value their opinion, it really, for me, has helped me be like, okay, I am an artist. Like it's not in my head. I didn't just make this up. Like people out there have actually said, wow, you're an artist and we appreciate you. And then it's like, oh, the affirmation, it's part of the whole process. I feel like if you want,
for sure, yeah.
I think there's plenty of people that just look at it as a hobby, but for me, it hasn't felt like a hobby, it's felt like,
I mean, it's a huge dopamine hit when somebody says they like what you've done. You're just like,
oh
yeah. It's very rewarding.
Me, I think that's the thing with art too, is, you have to do it for you and you have to be like, you have to know that that's enough, but there is something about like, and when I was in school, I was always the kid that was like, I'm going to get I'm going to do cause I liked I liked getting the approval from the people that were grading my papers and stuff. I was definitely like that kind of student where I was like pushing to like be good at it. Not just like, you know what I mean? Yeah,
totally. But I think also being a musician can be written off as frivolous a lot of the times. And so you get surrounded by that and you're like, well, am I just this silly thing? And it's not grounded in anything profound or purposeful. And I just don't think that's the truth. Like you gotta circle yourself with language that makes you feel cool and great and purposeful and that it has its place.
That it matters. Yeah.
It matters. It does matter. Because I think music is a game changer for people. I mean, in their
life
day,
would be so boring without music and art,
Boring.
Yeah. And so I think the self-talk has to be about like, I love me, like, or I like being an artist. I am this. Like, how cool is that? Like, it's a good thing, just to stabilize and give yourself this sense of why. Like, why do I do this? Well, like if we had grown up in Iceland, where art is like a viable path or other places, right? We wouldn't even be having this conversation.
Right.
And would we be making the art that we are making if we had, because there's been plenty of songs I've written that were definitely about all the struggles, so I had
good point.
I was just thinking about this the other day, like, because I was writing a lot of stuff in response to the protests and the just the state of things right now. And I'm like so upset and hurt. And like when you open up your willingness to have feelings around all the things that are going on, you can really get really hurt right now with all the injustice and, the way of things. And I was feeling so sad, and I'm like, I'm going to write, and then later I was like, wow, I wrote this beautiful thing. And and then I thought about, how I'm like, no war, like, no, let's all be friends. And then I was like, wow, what if there was no war and we were all getting along and everything was equal? And what would we write about, because you realize like that can be so motivating.
Yeah.
The bad things, the injustices, the negative.
And aren't you glad that you can do this thing?
Yeah.
Right? Not everybody can do what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think about it because, for me, it's like, it's been so natural and not easy. Like there's times when I have a hard time writing a song, but there's so many times when I just literally don't feel like I tried at all to write something. So to me, sometimes I think it's like, it's not that big a deal. Like, I downplay it. Like, I'm like, oh, this isn't, because for me, it just feels so natural.
Yeah. Well, you've gotten into it and you're well practiced. I mean, I think creativity is for everyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think music is for everyone, but not everyone chooses to really take it on and do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Like I always tell people, I'm like, look, being a musician isn't just for special people. Like I don't like that. I don't, I'm like, music is for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a thing, I think, to be honored when you do take it on and build the craft and it is a part of it is who you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That's true. No, it's
cool.
true. It's just like anything that you choose to spend time and energy on. It's a choice and you're going to naturally develop, ways to be good at it or better at it, Yeah.
Well, aren't you glad? I mean, that this is who you are, like that this is what you do. I wouldn't trade it for a corporate job, even though I've had those.
I still have the struggle. I mean, it's like, it's just, there's times where I'm like, wouldn't it be easier if I was like, a techie person? I had different skill sets, science and math, just wouldn't life be so much easier? Or if I was less of a creative or whatever thinker, like, then I could just go to a job and be fine being like, normal, like I have
the Matrix. You can just decide to stay in the business.
Yeah. There's another reality, but you're happy to be in this one. Yeah. Sometimes that struggle.
It gives you structure, right? And I know plenty of creatives who are working jobs and they are great at what they do and it supports their lives. That's a great thing. Don't get me wrong. I guess I want to correct myself. Like that, but there's it gives you structure. Like I know there's reasons I went into work because I wanted structure. I'd been in a non-structured, at the whim of, no control industry for long enough, and I craved structure. But it can come with other things, which are a bit soul-crushing. But, like an adult, people can make choices and morph and do whatever. But not to discredit all the musicians I know who are working as well. There's some good feeling to structure. But, you and I have talked like, when it's starting to crush your soul, and that's not a good thing.
Gives you something to write a song about, though. You got. I've experieed some soul crushing stuff. I gotta express that now.
Oh my gosh! When I was waiting tables, I had a lot of song ideas. Not that plenty of people do that and they don't have that experience.
Right. That's what I'm going to say to any next manager I have. I'm only here because I want to write songs. All right, I'm just here so you can make me, piss me off enough or treat me poorly enough. I'm going to get a song. I'm just using you. Way to take back the job. Anyway. Well, Tekla, thank you so much for being on this podcast. I can't wait to talk to you more.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm thrusting my friendship on you. I'm like, we're not friends.
Oh, Jeff says hi, by the way. He's in the other room. But he's like, you're talking to those guys. Yeah.
Oh, say hi back. He's so awesome. I would be giddy. We'll do stuff. It'll be fun.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, cool. Definitely. But I really appreciate you. I hope you have a great weekend. And
you too.
See you soon.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks for your time.
Bye, guys.